Good old-fashioned paranoia. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. A lot of people feel ashamed, and that's kind of the whole goal. It's part of the gaslighting. It's part of the methodology. Becoming apprehensive is only natural for someone who's been attacked. Targeted individuals experience that type of stimuli. And, the sensitization process, well, that's trauma-based. All these associations are just natural reactions to what you've been through, to the trauma-based attacks that targeted individuals are subjected to. It's only natural. And you can call it fear, you can call it whatever you want. I don't care what kind of situation that someone's, subjected to. I don't care if it's a woman who's been attacked, or someone has been assaulted and mugged. They're going to alter their life. They might start carrying weapons. They might do all kinds of other things, because now they're different. And they're going to be apprehensive. They're going to be paranoid. And I think it's healthy. I think it's a healthy response. So instead of being ashamed that, you might be following different protocols, you might have a security system, you might have a lockbox that you take to work with you so people don't tamper with your food or whatever you're doing, body cam or whatever, rather than to look at that as you being paranoid. I think that it would just be, healthy. I think that the world that we live in is a pretty weird place. And even if you're not someone who's experiencing group harassment, there's a lot of possibilities out there. They're looking for all kinds of different clues. In that case where she's not a little girl, she's a young woman, Gabby, up there by Jackson Hole, I think it was, up in the Teton, forest out there in Wyoming. Well, now that whole thing is going to be in the news. And, maybe, if she was a little more paranoid, she'd still be alive, if you want to call it paranoia. The world's a very dangerous place. And targeted individuals, well, they've been attacked. And I think that, it's just like the fear of heights. You have that for a reason. You don't want to fall and kill yourself, right? There's a reason for that. So, I think it's just simply a healthy response. Having a security system after having people break into your house, if you want to call that paranoid, then, well, I don't know. I don't look at it that way. And, I think that, differentiating that from some of the things that you're probably going to have to deal with that aren't correct is important, because it happens to everybody. It happens to me, and I've talked about that in the video 80%, that a lot of this stuff that you're going to be worried about, even if you take protocols to, kind of form a plan of attack, if we'll just say you're getting workplace harassment, you're going to kind of know what you're going to be dealing with. You might be wearing a body cam, you might be doing this or that, and you have that protocol to where you are not going to let yourself get emotionally stifled. And you're going to be expecting it, but you're not going to be apprehensive. You just have that protocol, okay? But there are going to be times, maybe at your workplace or wherever, where somebody might just be being passive-aggressive or having a bad day, and we'll say you read into it, and you think that they're, stalking you, or they're the gang stalkers or whatever, and you're processing that information incorrectly. Or we'll just use the example of someone who's been attacked with a lot of innuendos, different forms of street theater. And, they get sensitized to keywords or whatever, and they make a mistake. Okay, you don't have to be ashamed about that. You don't have to worry about it. It can be a problem. I have people who accuse me, and I've talked about this before too, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're doing. I don't even know where you live. And, but, that's why I do these, that's why I make these videos, because I know what happens to people. And that's an example of how people process information incorrectly. and they start to think that things are going on that aren't. And you have to know the difference. You have to have strict criteria. A lot of the street theater, whether it's the red shirt thing or the red car thing or whatever, aerial vehicles or whatever, is going to be mixed in with things that you're going to run into. A lot of maybe popular songs or sayings that are prevalent in society. Whatever, a movie that people are going to quote maybe for the next 10 years. A lot of times they will mix something in with that. And next time you hear it or run into it, well, you're going to read into it. That's kind of the whole point. Whatever the sensitization process involves, it's always going to involve things, that are in your daily life that you're going to run into, because, they want as many triggers in your mind as possible. They want you on an emotional roller coaster. That's the way it is. And I've talked about that as well, that not all the stimuli that targeted individuals get is negative, because they want you to pay attention to it as well. It just kind of, it depends on who you are. The spirit realm is going to know how to manipulate people around you, and, what kind of, scenario that they're going to cook up that's going to affect you the most. Because there are people that I've talked to that, or even read in the comments, that have mentioned specific things, right? That, eventually they're going to get over that and the methodology is going to change, but they know that you notice, whatever it is. And they know that it bothers you, that it's just some little passive game, whether they're just going to turn around and look at you or whatever, or, wherever you go, you're going to have people that are, acting out in a certain way that it's just, there's just no getting over it. And then that's going to take you down into that circular type of thinking, to where it's just going to bring up all the other things that agitate you, and it's going to create a medium for, even that narrative for the spirit realm to start to agitate you in your mind. And it's just going to keep you in that. The whole idea is to keep you in that state, all the time, on that emotional roller coaster, into that nightmare of stimuli. But not all of it's negative, okay? Because they want that high and low. I think people that are bipolar or diagnosed with it, I think they get a lot of that. I think a lot of the mental narrative that they're dealing with is really responsible for their mood changes. Some of it's chemical, probably. There's probably some truth to that, but I don't think it's as much as it is, stimuli based as far as narrative. Because, we'll just say you're hanging out with me and I'm positive and I'm building you up and I'm giving you positive strokes or whatever. And that's going to have a chemical response in your body. You're going to react to that. There's endorphins, literally, that are going to start surging through your body. You're going to feel, happy. You're going to feel empowered. You might, feel all kinds of things that are positive. But if all of a sudden I switch it, and, especially now that you are listening to me and you're vulnerable and you trusted me and you're close or whatever, however long you want to play that game, and now I'm going to be negative and I'm going to say something that hurts you. Well, that's going to be way worse than, if I'm just some person that you didn't, give your confidence to and start to listen. And so you got to be aware of that, whatever it is out there that you've been sensitized to, or whatever kind of things that you're being attacked with, whatever kind of narcissistic people you're dealing with, there's going to be that switch. And, I think that, rather than to look at it as something that's chemical with people that are bipolar, I think they're dealing with a narrative. I think that the things that are kind of manipulating their mind and speaking in there, maybe, piggybacking their thoughts or throwing suggestions in there. Oh, it's going to be a good day. It's not so bad. And then bam, there's nothing to live for. You're always going to be this way. You're never going to get out of it. People are always going to be doing this. There's nothing you can do. It's out of your control. And then it just flips. And, when you experience things that take you into that thought process, it's going to be negative. It's always going to be negative. When you get attacked, with different things you're sensitized to, it's going to bring it all back. It's a chain reaction. And so, it is what it is. Having those protocols and knowing what you're going to deal with, processing information right, and knowing you're going to have to deal with it, not letting it get you upset, realizing the intentions of, the spirit world and the people that they are using to manipulate you. And, that's important. And, when you give your confidence to somebody, when you start to trust people, you have to have that, realistic expectation that you're dealing with a human being who's fallible, who can be manipulated. And, if something happens, you have to have that protocol as well. So it's not that whether you're dealing with people and being cautious, or whether you have protocols, or whether you accidentally read into something, I wouldn't look at it as paranoia in your situation. I just wouldn't. And I certainly wouldn't be ashamed of that, because that's part of the dysfunction that targeted individuals deal with. That's just part of, the whole methodology. And, I've talked about the hindrance gaslighting before. And that's shame-based as well, because you're not going to be performing at your best because you're getting harassed, whatever's going on, whatever you're dealing with, whether it's sleep deprivation or energy weapons or V2K or gaslighting or street theater, workplace harassment, whatever. It's going to hinder you, and you're supposed to feel ashamed and whatever. So I wouldn't process what your reactions are as necessarily paranoia, the way other people are going to perceive it. I think it's healthy. I think that a lot of this stuff is, designed to shame you. You need to give yourself a break. You also have to have that strict criteria. On another note, I heard about a bill that's going to Biden that has to do with paying people compensation who are victims of energy weapons, which I might make a video about that. That Havana syndrome is becoming more prevalent. Guys, be good to yourselves. Be safe.